Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. They're online at guaranteehealth.com, guaranteehealth.com. Talk a little bit more baseball. What about LSU's postseason opportunities? We'll talk about that coming up in our next segment. Right now, let's discuss the New Orleans Saints. Really good piece up at louisianasports.net that you can read for free, I might add, by Ross Jackson, talking about the most improved positions on the Saints roster moving into 2026. And he starts with the obvious one, and there's no question the Saints have improved. It's just how much. And I think we'll get that unlocked pretty quickly at wide receiver. Last year, the end of the season was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. You had nobody left. You had traded Shaheed. Olave got hurt. Vele got hurt. Polk was still out. You had cast characters most people, Saints fans, didn't know. And so that was absolute a must to improve that position. And you took a big swing with your first pick in the draft with Jordan Tyson, but you didn't just leave it at that. You have added reinforcements with Bryce Lance, who I think has a chance to be a real sneaky pickup by the Saints late in the draft. And then Barryon Brown, who you know at the very least brings a speed component to the outside. You get Olave back to full strength. You get Devon Vele back to full strength, and we'll see what they get out of Polk. My gut tells me the Saints like what they got there. And I feel like at wide receiver, you have absolutely upgraded to a point where you've got a respectable core. And if Jordan Tyson has an impact similar to, and these are local examples, but similar to Malik Neighbors, similar to Brian Thomas Jr. as a rookie, he becomes a one. And Olave goes from below average number one to above average number two, right? I mean, this is a guy that multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons and not exactly with the best quarterback play in the NFL. I feel like, yeah, that's how that thing works. And then you're just looking for role players beyond that. Can Vele be the big-bodied target? If not, can Bryce Lance be that? Barryon Brown is your speed merchant. Can he make the roster, help you on special teams, and play the role that Rashid Shaheed did? No reason to think he can't. Talking about a guy who's top 10 all-time in Kentucky in receiving yards, a guy that has the SEC record for kickoff return touchdowns, a guy that can make big plays. So, yeah, I love what the Saints have done at wide receiver. That's absolutely improved. One of the things that is kind of faded because it was early in free agency and you've had the big hubbub with the draft was the addition of David Edwards, which is a game-changing move for the Saints. You take a position of severe weakness and you turn it into a strength. Edwards is a Pro Bowl caliber player at the left guard spot. You were awful at left guard last year. Not to mention the fact that you've got your center returning at full health. He's one of the best in the league. And you take a weakness, which last year's center play and guard play were weaknesses for the Saints, you turn it into a strength. Got to stay healthy, but you turn it into a strength. You now keep Dylan Radins. That gives you depth. And you take a flyer on Jeremiah Wright in the draft. That's an interior player that gives you some more depth as well, that's done it at the SEC level. And I think all of a sudden you go from a weakness on the offensive line to potentially a strength. I don't know how you could more positively impact a young quarterback than to reinforce the middle of the offensive line, add as many weapons as the Saints did, and then go sign a Pro Bowl caliber running back, which you did with Achane. That's as good as you could do helping a young quarterback develop. So those are the two that Ross Jackson pinpoints as the most improved position groups at wide receiver and offensive line. He mentioned running back as well. And then safety is something that obviously Ross feels strongly about. I'll read you the blurb that he put at LouisianaSports.net. It says, for the most part, the Saints are returning the exact same room in 2026 that they fielded in Week 1 last year. However, it's a second year from Jonas Sanker, another year with Justin Reed fully immersed in the defensive system, and then the return of Julian Blackmon should allow last year's deepest position group to be even better. That's not something we've talked about in this offseason. We're talking about getting these weapons for Shuck. We're talking about fortifying the offensive line. We're talking about free agency. We're talking about the draft. Well, Julian Blackmon was playing as well as anyone in that Saints defense through training camp early on last year. He was a guy that the Saints kind of took a flyer on and was really playing well. PFF grades were good, production was there, and then he got hurt early in the season. And so you look at that, that's like adding somebody. But all the while, you were, while he was hurt, getting Jonas Sanker some valuable playing time. So now he's seasoned a little bit to play that role if you need him. I think that's a great point that Ross makes about the differences in the Saints season last year and this coming year. Now, I realize that this discussion is rooted in 100% health, which is not realistic. You're going to have injuries, obviously. But that's why you build the depth. What do we say about wide receiver? Yes, they got Tyson, but they also went and got Lance, went and got Brown. Polk's coming back. You have depth that you've added there. Offensive line, you kept Dylan Radins around. You took Jeremiah Wright in addition to getting a left guard. So you did build depth there. And at safety, you've got that depth built in because you had an injury last year and you had to play a rookie and he got some seasoning and now he's ready to go. So the depth is another thing that we haven't necessarily spoken about, but it's something that the Saints are cultivating a little bit. And the last thing that Ross writes about is the defensive interior, specifically with the draft of Christian Miller. That's not a name that I saw in a lot of the two-round mocks that I saw. I did not see him mocked to the Saints anywhere, but he could be a very, very important addition to the Saints defense. They did a good job late in the season last year. Ross notes this stat. They finished second in the NFL in total defensive run EPA, which is expected points added. It's an objective data system that ESPN has cooked up. And then the Saints were second in that late in the season. Yes, that was against some lesser teams. We understand. But you got to start somewhere. And so you did a good job there. You've added somebody on the interior who's a space eater, who can clog gaps. That's not something Brian Brzee does a great job of. He's getting better at it, but you bring in somebody who can kind of fill that role at this point, and you feel pretty good about that. It's, again, adding some depth. So as I look at the Saints offseason, it's hard to do anything but like it. Like if you were trying to nitpick, you could go, okay, well, you took a guy that gets hurt a lot in the first round. Okay, well, you committed a lot of money at running back. Like, I'm trying to nitpick here. But those are not, to me, significant concerns. You have money to spend because you got a cheap quarterback, so you went and spent some money. And you took a big talent that has dealt with a couple of injury issues that you feel have been cleaned up over the course of the last 5 months. It's a roster that this time last year, you were going to have to really squint to see real positives. But because your draft class last year played well, because the quarterback has really transformed the way you look at the entire organization, and then you look at the moves that they made this year with a little bit of free agent flexibility and the high draft pick that they had, it's hard not to go, yeah, this is a better roster than the one they put out there. And that roster at the end of last year won 5 of the last 6. So it's a comfortable spot to truly get into the offseason. You won't know what you have in these guys until you put the pads on in training camp and get into September. But on paper, which is all we've got right now, you have to like the trajectory of this thing. And you just could not have said that 12 months ago. That's how quickly it can flip if you hit the right buttons. And despite how much criticism some on this show that the Saints front office has taken, specifically Mickey Loomis, and I think it was warranted, they may be turning things back the other direction, which would be an awesome thing. So that was kind of a dismal, call it 2.5 years. Save that 1-2-0 burst out of the gates 2 years ago. It was a slog. it looks better right now. And that's a really, really fun thing to talk about when we discuss the New Orleans Saints. We'll move forward to rookie minicamp. That's coming up here before you know it. And NFL always finds a way to be relevant no matter where you are in the calendar. And even though right now it kind of feels like the dog days of summer are upon us, there'll always be something to discuss. So we'll get into it as we move forward with our Saints coverage. You can always find our Saints coverage at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel anytime you're looking for Saints content. You can find it right there. And also LouisianaSports.net. Ross does an awesome job there creating our Saints content every single day. He's got stuff on the Saints. I also don't really envy that gig. Going Saints all day, every day. That's a lot. I at least have 3 beats to cover.
This time of year is really
that's immersing into it.
Nothing going on. Nothing at all.
Not a lot, but he finds stuff. It's always good. I enjoy Ross. I read them every single morning when I get to the work. All right, let's transition back to LSU baseball. Can they make the NCAA tournament? Now people are wanting to talk about that. I'll give you my thoughts on it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
I'm telling you about Ochsner. They want to make sure that you understand where you're supposed to be based on your healthcare needs. If you're talking about comprehensive and continuous care, that's your primary care. Annual checkups, immunizations, chronic disease management, meaning high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar. You need to see your primary care physician. You can do virtual visits, or you can schedule your appointment at www.ochsner.org/brprimary. For urgent care, that's when you're talking about immediate care that you need for your common illnesses and your minor injuries, your lacerations, sprains, broken bones, flu-like symptoms, rashes, skin irritations. You can walk in. Those walk-ins are welcome there at urgent care. They've got extended hours. You can find an Ochsner urgent care location nearest you at ochsner.org/urgent care. If you got something that needs immediate care, that's severe life-threatening conditions like severe chest pain, severe bleeding, severe head trauma, emergency care is where you need to be. You need to call 911 or go to the emergency room. You can schedule your online appointments through MyOchsner. You can also download the MyOchsner app at www.ochsner.org/myo. They also have an additional resource for you called Ochsner On Call. That's 1-800-231-5257, and a nurse will help direct you to the best care option. That's all from our friends at Ochsner.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
About time for those summer vacations. If you need a new ride, Faber Chevrolet GMC can help you out with that. If you're loading the whole crew up to head to the beach, head to the grandparents' house, head up to the mountains, wherever you're going on the road, if you need a new set of wheels, Faber Chevrolet GMC can help you out with that. Of course, they've got your Chevy Suburbans and Tahoes. They've got your GMC Yukons and Denali's. Great for the family for a road trip. So if your lease is up, you're just thinking about getting a new ride, Faber Chevrolet GMC is a great place to stop on by there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Hop, skip, and a jump from Baton Rouge, certainly if you're north of town, or over in Point Capee Parish and the Felicianas. Quick drive, and you'll have a great experience if you go see my friends at Faber Chevrolet GMC. The entire inventory is online, so you can start your buying process there. But suggest you get on by Highway 61 in St. Francisville and see them. Faber Chevrolet GMC online, FaberChevrolet.com. Crazy how couple ball games can shift a narrative. It's prisoner of the moment stuff all the time. I wrote in my Around the Horn piece for LouisianaSports.net this morning that one good weekend can erase 3 bad ones. Yes, you have won 3 games in a row, but you did drop 9 straight for the first time in program history leading up to that. And because of that, you put yourself on life support. And you're still alive, but barely, for the NCAA tournament. And everybody said yesterday, I'm getting text messages like, what do I have to do to get in? And they're getting hot. It's like, well, they played pretty well over the weekend, but they played a bad team. And the narrative on this deal is that LSU does have a chance, and they do. But it's unlikely. I will say that. Before we lay out this deal, like, it's unlikely that LSU is going to win 4 of the next 6. LSU has stepped up in class in competition a couple times this year, and it has not gone well. You stepped back down in class to South Carolina. You beat them. But you stepped up in class when you traveled to Oxford, and you got smacked. You stepped up in class when you traveled to Starkville, and you got smacked. When you've played good teams, you have not measured up. The true issue here is that LSU had a very soft early league schedule. Kentucky is not good. Vanderbilt is not good. Oklahoma is not good. You played those three teams early, and you needed to get out of the gates against those teams. You got Oklahoma on your field. You got Kentucky on your field. You need to take control. And you dropped the series to Oklahoma. You lost a game to Kentucky. And you dropped a series to Vanderbilt, who can't pitch at all. And that's why you're in a bad spot. Of course, you needed to try to get one in Starkville, get one in Oxford, but those are tough series on the road. You played some bad teams early, and after 4 weeks, you were there at 6-6. So you got an uphill battle. Georgia's really good. They have a 2.5 lead on the game lead on the conference. And you're going to have to go to Athens and probably win 2 baseball games. The likelihood of that is small. It's possible. It's small. And then Florida comes here, and Aiden King is a beast, and Liam Peterson can be, and they've got some guys that can swing it. Now, it's a top-heavy lineup, but, you haven't beaten teams like that in series, and you're going to have to do it twice. You're sitting here right now with an RPI of 55, and everybody's saying the RPI stinks, the RPI stinks, the RPI stinks. Yeah, the RPI is not good at 55, but it's improving, and you're about to go on the road to play Georgia, who was number 16 in the RPI. And then you will come home to play Florida. Florida almost always has a good RPI because their midweek games are against good teams. They play Florida State. They play Miami. They play UCF, who's decent. They play some good midweek games, plus the SEC schedule. So they're 12 in the RPI. So you've got 6 games coming up with top 16 RPIs. If you win 4 of those, your RPI is going to jump up into the low 40s, and that is very much bubblicious. You're around, and you would go to Hoover with a real chance to do something. But the likelihood of LSU getting 4 of the next 6 is just not very good. We don't know what Cason Evans' future is. Georgia hits a ton of homers. It's a bandbox of a stadium. LSU's not really built to slug with that team. They did it against Tennessee, and they did it to an extent against Mississippi State, but they got outslugged ultimately by Mississippi State. You look at LSU's resume, and you're talking about a strength of schedule of 21, which is fine. You're talking about a quad 1 record of 4-13, which is very bad. Only 4 quad 1 wins is not good, but you would add 4 to that. There's no way that LSU can go 12-18 with 5 quad 4 losses and get in the NCAA tournament. So 13 is the bare minimum, and that means 4 of the next 6. So none of this discussion is even worthwhile if you don't win 4 of the next 6 in the league, and you better beat Tulane tomorrow. So that's where you have to start the discussion. But if you do get to 13, you'll have 4 more quad 1 wins, so we'll make that 8. You will have an RPI around 40, which is good enough. And I think you'll be in a spot going to Hoover, if you can get a game there, where you'll be okay. Remember, the SEC tournament has changed formats. All 16 teams go, and it's single elimination all the way through. It used to be single elimination on Tuesday, double elimination on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then single elimination on Saturday and a championship on Sunday. Now it's just straight baseball. 1 game, you're out. And if you get to 13 and you go to Hoover and win for a 14th SEC win, I would feel pretty good about LSU's chances. I'm speaking in hypotheticals because I don't know what the other bubble teams are looking at. I don't know what kind of bid stealers you're talking about. But if you get 13 regular season and 1 in Hoover, if you made me bet a crisp $5 bill on that, I would say LSU would be in the field of 64 with 13 league wins and 1 in Hoover. That's what I would think. You would have won your last 3 series unless you sweep one of these and lose 2 out of 3 against Georgia. But you have won your last 3 series. You would have 13 league wins, a 14th. You would have 8 or 9 Q1 wins. That would likely, to me, be enough. I can't guarantee it. I'm just telling you I would feel pretty good about it. So that's what it is. And I'll give them this. By sweeping this weekend, they've made it interesting. They've made it interesting. If you would have lost one game this weekend, you'd be about done. If you'd lost 2 games this weekend, you'd be cooked. You'd have to go win the SEC tournament. But as I sit here right now, I would suggest LSU's got about a 15% chance to make the NCAA tournament. It's amazing that we got here, but one good weekend against South Carolina does not erase getting swept 3 consecutive weekends in SEC play, losing 9 in a row for the first time in the history of the program. It was a good weekend, but it can't erase that. So you've got a big old uphill battle to face. You got to look at this 2 different ways. One, you have an opportunity in the final 2 weeks because the teams you're playing look good on paper. The second way you look at it is that opportunity is a huge challenge. And Georgia doesn't lose a lot of games at Foley Field. They don't lose a lot of games, period. And you've got a pitching staff that will give up the long ball. Strike out a lot of guys out, give up the long ball. And you don't know if you have Case and Evans. We'll see. But I got asked that question a couple times at the box yesterday, and then a couple times after the game was over, like, how do they get in? Do they have the chance? Well, they have a chance. They do. And I'm not one of these people that is in the mode that, lost midweek games, 13's not enough. I don't think that's true. I don't know that. And the truth is that no one does. But based on history, I think 13 is a spot to shoot for. And I'll finish with this. I don't believe that LSU's logo and colors are going to get them preferential treatment in the selection room. That's a talking point. People have said that, well, the defending champs, it's LSU. If they got a reason to put them in, they'll put them in. I don't subscribe to that. I'm not telling you it's been negative. I think it was a negative in 2011. I think that they left LSU out and understood that it was a chance to get St. John's in the field, that maybe that'd be good for their program to get in the NCAA tournament. LSU would be fine anyway. Like, I think LSU was hurt by its brand in 2011. And then they gave some ridiculous, and that was 15 years ago, and I've never forgotten the committee chair's reasoning for LSU being left out in 2011, when they went 13-17 in the league, and they got left out, and the committee chair said, well, 6 of those 13 wins were against Kentucky and Tennessee, who were the worst 2 teams in the league. Well, who did St. John's beat? Really? Is that what we're going to do? Who did St. John's knock off in Big East play? Bunch of Titans? I doubt it. But I think that was just an excuse to leave LSU out. So I don't think LSU will be given preferential treatment, but I do believe that the resume will be good enough for consideration if they get to 13 wins and win 1 in Hoover. But they got to do that. So you do it one at a time. Got to win tomorrow. You need to beat Tulane. And then you got to go to Athens and find a way to get 2 games. It's going to be very, very difficult for this team to do that. But that's the challenge in front of you. So that's a look at LSU baseball's resume as it sits currently. We'll discuss it further, I guess, starting next week as we move beyond LSU and Georgia into the final week of the regular season. That'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the final week against Florida in Baton Rouge. Jay Johnson met with the media yesterday. We'll hear a couple clips from that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. SwingEasyGCBR.com. Great place to work on your game. If you don't want to go out there when it's 90 degrees and hit balls on the range, or if it's raining, or the evening hours, can't find a range open, Swing Easy's a great place to go. It's got great data for you, whether you're a scratch player or you're a beginner. You can see the trajectory of your shot on the tracer. You can see your carry distance. You can see where your club impacts the golf ball, which is a big help to me. See where you're making contact. Maybe you're out on the toe. Maybe you're on the heel a little bit. But you get that reinforcement every time you hit a shot there at Swing Easy. It's great to go in and lunch, hit some balls. If you become a member, you get the opportunity to do that at a discounted rate. But this is the time of year where everybody's playing a lot of golf. If you want to improve, go to Swing Easy Golf Club. Get an individual bay. Get on that simulator. Work on your game. Swing Easy Golf Club on Segan at Perkins. They're also online. SwingEasyGCBR.com. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Find them online, guaranteehealth.com, guaranteehealth.com. Those of you that are in the healthcare field, you understand that the Net Promoter Score is obviously very, very important, and Guarantee Health Solutions is there to help you with that. They've got a success story. One of their partnerships resulted in a Net Promoter Score going from 65 to 90 over the course of 3 months. 65 to 90, just significant improvements with Guarantee Health Solutions in your corner. They managed over 1 million patients last year at Guarantee Health Solutions. You could be next in line for them. Making sure your patients are coming for annuals, making sure that they've got a plan for care, making sure they have a positive experience when they're in your system. Guarantee Health Solutions is here to help with that. If you don't know how to manage your website, how to make it accessible and user-friendly, Guarantee Health Solutions can help with that. They also handle marketing, whether that's by doing events, whether that's by traditional means, meaning radio and television, or whether that's social media. They can help you out at Guarantee Health Solutions. GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. They are guiding healthcare forward. All right, Jay Johnson met with the media after the Saturday doubleheader as well as on Sunday. We've got some cuts that I wanted to share with you from those. He mentioned on Sunday the importance of the 3 starts. If you're listening to the top of the show, I told you I thought that was the most impactful portion of the weekend. To get 6 innings from Schmidt, 5 innings from Paz, 6 innings from Cowan, just completely changed the way you were able to deploy your bullpen and control the weekend. And Jay Johnson mentioned his starting pitching.
Yeah, it changes everything. And I mean, it's a great to sweep a series, and you take a look at the names that aren't on the roster. It's a pretty good accomplishment for this group, and I'm really proud of them for that. And it started on the mound. You know, that's a heck of a lot closer to the standard we want to pitch at and play offense at. And yeah, it helps. It helps a lot of things.
Certainly does. And you just didn't get good enough pitching in Starkville at really any spot. One of the guys that they leaned on heavily last week, and he was the SEC Pitcher of the Week for it, was Zach Cowan, who gave you 6 innings in a starting role on Sunday. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he's awesome. It was 10 scoreless innings and 2 wins this week. Should be hands down SEC Pitcher of the Week. You know, I've talked about him for 2 years, how important he is to our program, and to me, that was awesome, and super proud of him. And pitching staff all weekend was great, and no outing better than that one today.
He's an X factor. He just is. He is as consistent a performer as LSU has in its pitching staff. You've asked him to be a closer, he can come in and close. You ask him to be a spot starter, he can be a spot starter. Need him in the midweek for 4 innings, which they did back on Tuesday of last week. He dominates for 4 innings, scoreless. Came in and threw strikes. Got Cowan that comes in on Sunday, 6 innings, just throwing strikes, getting swing and misses, getting weak contact. He went to 3-ball count 1 time on Sunday. 1 3-ball count. He threw strike 1 to 15 of the 20 guys he faced. Just consistently staying ahead. And sometimes you give up some contact, but he also struck a lot of guys out over the weekend. And you think about what Zach Cowan has meant to this team and this program over the last 2 years, like just a massive performance in a bullpen role week after week after week. And then you needed him to start in Omaha against Arkansas, and he gave you a great effort. Now, he was a great matchup for that team that day in that ballpark because the wind's howling in and it's playing huge, and he can kind of pitch to contact, and you know you're going to get strikes from Cowan. And you did. And he's just been so big for this team over the last couple of seasons. Offensively, LSU was pretty good over the weekend, and Jay Johnson talked about the turnaround offensively from this group.
I think we're just playing well. We're playing a brand of baseball that's familiar, and got the right guys in there executing, you know, team offense. And really, it's I'm proud of them for doing that, playing with aggression, playing with psychological freedom, and then just playing fundamentally sound. You know, it's why a couple of these numbers are up there, and so it's good to see this group do that.
When he's talking about a couple of those numbers, that's the national championships up on the wall. They've got them all written in the team room there. And so yeah, they're just playing better. That was on Saturday after the win, and this was on Sunday. Just talking about the last 8 games that have looked better on the offensive side.
Yeah, it was a great week, and we've played better. For 8 games now, we've played a lot better. It was a tough environment last weekend against a really good team that, going into it shorthanded, not knowing you were necessarily going to be shorthanded right up until game time. They fought, and they've fought hard in losses. We haven't played great defense or pitched well at times. Offense has really come along, but that competitiveness within games, I think you're seeing it in the totality of the season right now, and they're just playing better, and that's going to lead to some more success, and I'm happy for them to feel that, to walk out of here with a sweep.
It's just a better vibe, and a part of it is playing better. They played better in Starkville, as he mentioned. I was there. I saw every pitch of it. They were competitive. Mississippi State's really good. That's a tough place to go play. There were 15,000 people there on Saturday. And LSU was in the fight for 3 games. They just didn't get any of them. They just didn't make the play you had to make. They just didn't get the hit you had to make. They didn't make the pitch you had to make, and Mississippi State did. But you played a little bit better. You weren't completely outclassed. I thought you were outclassed against Texas A&M the week before. I thought A&M just completely dictated the terms of that entire weekend. I did not feel that way in Starkville, and certainly LSU dictated the terms of this weekend against a bad South Carolina team, and that's certainly a positive. They're playing a little bit better, but the question is it too little too late? And my answer is probably. But as I talked about in the last segment, they got a chance if they can continue to fight. And one of the guys they're going to lean on pretty heavily is Marcos Paz. I thought he delivered his best performance as an LSU Tiger in Saturday's doubleheader. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts. He did walk 3, but was really in the strike zone a lot. The breaking ball was very good. The fastball sat at 95. I thought he looked very good. And Jay Johnson talked about his freshman kind of growing up.
Just trying to bring him along the right way. And I've said this a few times, I hadn't pitched in a real game, forget a college game, in 18 months. And, we're still rebooting him, in the fall and even early in the season. And then there's an adjustment to this. It's not high school baseball in Texas. It's just not, and it's all there. And I think the last 2 weeks you can clearly see that, and I'm not going to give it back.
Not going to give it back. I think you're going to likely see Paz in a starting role this weekend against Georgia as well. Casey Evans' status has not been determined yet. Jay Johnson talked about him on Sunday, said he feels okay. He has not let it rip on the mound just yet, but he has done a little bit of throwing, and they got to clear some benchmarks with him. But you figure Schmidt will start the first game, Paz will start the second game. If they haven't used Cowan, he would probably start the third game. If Evans is available this weekend, you would think he would probably pitch in the third game, and I wouldn't imagine you'd see 120 pitches out of him, just my guess. So we'll see as they move forward with that. That's probably a story for later on in the week. But Paz was the story in the game on Saturday night, and Jay Johnson talked about the areas he's actually improved in.
I just think the tempo tonight was outstanding. It was get the ball, go, delivery in sync, miss a spot, right back in the zone on the next pitch. I was proud of how he handled, he got behind a couple guys and they got right back in the count. And he's a strike thrower. That's one of his elite qualities. The stuff is terrific, was tonight, 3 pitches for strikes. And, we're just scratching the surface.
It's an exciting thing to look at. And hopefully with LSU's infrastructure, with Jamie Tutko, with Nate Yeski and all that they put in, they've gotten some real positive results with a lot of pitchers coming through the program. Anderson and Ianson are obvious examples of that from last year, but I think Cowan has been very, very good, and you hope that Paz kind of develops in that mold. I think Schmidt is clearly better than he was last year. He's not a finished product, but he's better. And so I'm hopeful that the future can be really, really positive for Marcos Paz. And you look at the most impactful players from this weekend. You look at Schmidt on the front end on Saturday. You look at Paz starting game 2. You look at Braun having a huge weekend, walked 6 times, got 2 hits, hit a homer, scored 4 runs, was really good. You saw, obviously, Cerna with a couple of huge swings, double in the gap to right center field, homer on Sunday. He was big time. Aaron Beatty hit over 500 for the weekend. All these guys are going to be back next year. You're talking about the nucleus of the next team that has become the nucleus of this team. In one of those bites earlier that we played, he talked about how you got a lot of guys that aren't out there. They don't have Case and Evans. They don't have Cooper Moore. They don't have Jake Brown. They don't have Chris Stanfield. They don't have John Pearson. There's a lot of guys that are not available for them that you figure were going to play huge roles. Well, who's playing huge roles now? It's the young guys. And they're going to be back next year. And that is a comforting thing for next year. It probably cost you a little bit this year. There's a lot of bumps in the road. But every time those guys do something really good, it encourages you about what LSU baseball would look like next year. They're here now. It's time to play, but they are a lot of the guys that played huge roles, the non-Zach Cowan guys from this weekend, non-Devin Sheeran guys from this weekend, very likely back next year, which is a very, very good thing. So that's Jay Johnson from Saturday and Sunday. A little sound from him in his press conferences. We'll step aside, come back, close things out. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go see him at Marucci. You know what you should do? Become a member. Well, why would I become a member, Hunt? Well, you would become a member at Marucci because it allows you access to their cages 24/7. Get key card access, you're in. So if you've got a youth baseball player, a youth softball player that wants to take some extra strings, wants to pitch off the mound, they can do that at Marucci day or night. Want to stop in there before school, get some grinding done, you can do it. Want to stop in there after school, want to stop in there after dinner, you can do it. Marucci's cages are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So become a member over there at Marucci. Always invite you to take a campus tour as well. MarucciSports.com/campus-tour. Take a tour and see where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made, where they make 1,200 of those things every single day for the best players in the world. It's a gem right here in Baton Rouge, and you can go see it, learn the story, and see where they make the official bat of Major League Baseball. That's all courtesy of our friends at Marucci.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Take a minute to remind you about my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You can find them online at FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. That's F-A-B-R-E, Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Highway 61 in St. Francisville, if you're looking for a new vehicle, or if you want to take your car in it for a little bit of service work before you hit the road for that family vacation, they are happy to help you in the service department at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Or on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, they're also online at FabryChevrolet.com. The entire inventory is right there. New truck, Silverado's up to $11,000 off MSRP, or a GMC Sierra up to $13,000 off MSRP on those. You'll have a great buying experience. Fabry family's made sure of that for 35 years in this city. Their reputation is phenomenal for a reason. It's because they take care of their customers. It's Fabry Chevrolet. Find them online at FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Tomorrow we will have Glenn West on talking Tigers. We will also have Sharif Ishak talking Saints, LSU, and Tulane from the box tomorrow. Last midweek game at 6:30, so we'll get you ready for that. And maybe, just maybe, LSU will get a basketball commitment.
Keep dreaming, honestly.
I've told y'all this a couple of times. We send a weekly schedule to Rivers for the website every Sunday. And I continue to write in my weekly preview, when they get a basketball commitment, I'll write a portal profile piece on how this player fits into the program. And I've written that for 2 weeks, and I get nothing.
Yeah. Can you tell me this? Would you have expected this, let's say 3 weeks ago when all this Will Wade stuff was happening?
No. This is supposed to be the stuff he's the best at. I listened to Hanny say this earlier today. I've heard this through the grapevine that they've got like 4 or 5 kids already committed and they're just going to like announce it all at once.
Which is crazy.
I'm kind of waiting. Like, what are we waiting on? What's the point? I'm a little puzzled. I don't know if like concerned is the right word. Puzzled. I'm puzzled. I don't know where the announcements are. I don't know why they don't have any players.
No, I think concerned is the right word. You should be a little bit concerned, though. You don't even know who's the main scorer yet.
Right. But, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
they got one defensive player.
Exactly.
But
we don't know the bigs.
I think part of the reason I'm not massively concerned is because the expectation level is just low. Like, I just don't.
True.
If this was LSU's football team or baseball team, I'd be like, well, what are they doing? Like,
red flag.
team's like, well, they're not usually very good. So I think that is just baked in.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have some players.
I mean, you were not even just about having the players, but just getting like an exoskeleton of a team. Maybe if you had, we got the big coming in, or we got this guy averaged 20 points last year.
You have a wing defender.
Exactly.
That's what you got.
And
Mo Diabate. That's it.
And shout out Mo. If Mo listening, shout out to you, Mo.
You got it. You're going to get a lot of shots at this rate. All of them.
Hey, Mo, we need you to recruit. Mo need to start recruiting. That's what Mo need to start doing.
Somebody.
This is nasty.
All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, Malik Willis. Unfortunately, Malik Willis, the Dolphins' new QB1. He threw out the first pitch Friday at the Miami Marlins game and completely missed the plate. One of the craziest first pitches in recent memory. But is this a bad sign for your new QB1 to throw a bad first pitch? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it, but I still just don't get it. I heard Matt Flynn this morning trying to explain it. He knows a lot more about throwing things than I do.
Yeah.
But I'm quite confident that I could take a football, go out, and throw it 15 yards on a line, and then you can hand me a baseball, and I can go out to the mound and get a pitch close to the plate. Like,
Did you see it?
No, I
It was
heard
bad.
about it.
It was bad.
But this deal where like, oh, it's a lot different trying to, like, I get if a soccer player can't throw a first pitch.
Yeah, a
I
quarterback.
saw Rory McIlroy throw a first pitch out. It was kind of bad.
Yeah.
But he's a golfer. These guys
A quarterback.
are quarterbacks. I mean, just fire it in there. It's not that different. I mean, I do recall being a youth athlete, the first day going from basketball to baseball.
Yeah.
So, like, we lost in the playoffs and you go out to baseball practice the next day. At least that's what I did because I played baseball and basketball. Like, that baseball does feel weird the first day. You've been bouncing a basketball for 5 months.
You got to get adjusted.
But still, we can throw a baseball over the plate.
But also,
if we're an NFL quarterback.
Yes, that's the main point. You're a quarterback.
Yeah.
If this was the Dolphins' left tackle, Caden Proctor. Bad first pitch. All right, cool. You can't be QB1 and missing the plate, man.
I mean, Carl Lewis, one of the greatest athletes of all time, terrible first pitch.
Yeah.
I got it. He's a track guy.
Yeah.
But football quarterback, it's not that different. Throw it over the plate.
Bad look. So, speaking of quarterbacks, Coach Andy Reid said Saturday that quarterback Patrick Mahomes is on track to participate alongside his teammates at OTAs, even though it might be in a limited capacity. Mahomes is continuing his rehab after tearing his Achilles, well, not his Achilles, his ACL and LCL in December. So, Mahomes starting week 1, take it or leave it.
Leave it. Get on the Nuss bus, baby. Nussmeyer's starting for the Chiefs. Probably not. I don't think he's going to beat Mahomes out.
Yeah.
But look, that's a tough time to get injured right there. The Chiefs are having a bad year, and then he gets hurt. But I'm not as. I feel like the Chiefs are no longer the class of the AFC.
Where you at with it?
I feel better about a few teams in the AFC than them. I feel better about Buffalo.
Okay.
I can be talked into Denver.
Bo Nix just got to keep going. I got to see a little bit more. I'm not a believer yet. And then
we got the Bengals, baby. My squad, diehard since 4 years ago.
If they can get an O-line, something going.
Yeah, they try. They spend a bunch of money. Who knows? You can't pay 2 receivers $1 billion and then try to win a football game.
And then pay a D tackle.
Yeah.
So, speaking of injuries, Detroit Tigers will be out their ace for the foreseeable future, according to Jeff Passan. Tigers starting pitcher and back-to-back Cy Young winner Tyreek Skubal will undergo a surgery to remove loose bodies in his left elbow. The requirements, see how long it'll take, is probably 2 to 3 months of recovery. Whoop. So, is this wrong for the Tigers not paying Skubal? Now we're at this point. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. He's going to get to free agency. He's going to sign for he's going to get $340 million, but he needs to get healthy. And so that's the concern the Tigers have, because they did go out and spend money. They went and got Frommer, and they've got some dudes, but they really went in for this year. And now Skubal has free agency on the back end of this, and he's got an elbow issue. So, like, how much is he going to push it in August? You're talking multi-generations of Skubals are about to get taken care of in January. So, like, you're talking $350 million. How much is he going to push it? I don't know. The Cubs have no players, and they continue to win every game. I do not know how the Cubs are doing this. The Cubs have no ace, no second ace, no closer. 3 guys in the bullpen are hurt. They've had Nico missed a couple games. Say's been on the DL. Dansby had a glute cramp. He had to leave the game the other day.
Oh, my goodness.
They have no players, and they still win every game. It's great.
That's a good sign, though. That's a good sign.
I don't know if it's sustainable, but.
All right, so tell me this before we go. If Skubal, let's say he's, maybe 80%, you think he's not going out there? It's like, all right, we just going to.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if Boris is his agent or not, but this feels like they're going to slow play that, because you have to get. Now, there's benefit if he goes out there and looks like Tarik Skubal again, but they're not going to push it. They're not going to let him go out there if he's not just 1,000%, which maybe he is. The surgeons are pretty good these days.
You're right. People come back from Achilles all the time. And
so if I got to worry about Tarik Skubal in the fall, that means the Cubs are in the World Series. So that's a good thing. So we'll see.
Well, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Monday. Our shows are brought to you by Guarantee Health Solution. They're guiding healthcare forward. Talked a lot of LSU baseball today. Talked a little Saints as well, plus the Ahmad Hudson commitment for LSU football. Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your podcasts. Always appreciate y'all for subscribing and getting our content in front of as many folks as possible. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Sure he has plenty to talk about after a wild weekend. We're back tomorrow. Same time, same place. That'll be a Tuesday edition. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. And safety can be a big issue in the bathroom, especially as folks age. And you can't eliminate that risk permanently, but you can mitigate against it, right? And that's what David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets can do. They can put in non-slip floors for you. They can put in a walk-in tub. That's for convenience, for safety. They can put a bench in the shower. They can put guardrails around slippery places. All that may be a game changer for you or someone that's aging in your life. So if you would like to have that conversation, you can do it with David Duvall. Go to onebathandclosets.com and reach out. He is happy to do it. If you're thinking, well, what about payment? Financing options are available. They can do same as cash, 0% for up to 18 months if you qualify for that. So go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You'll see pictures of their fantastic work. You can read the reviews from their satisfied customers. You can get that free consultation with David Duvall. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online, onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.